1. The Feast of the Dead. One night, some girls had arranged an evening party, so of course they had to have some vodka. But as they were returning home with the liquor, they saw some skeletons lying by the side of the road. "Yo," they cried, "Bones, Bones, come and be our guests. We are having an evening party. Bones, Bones, come and be our guests." So they went home with the vodka and stepped in over the threshold. But the skeletons were already there, sitting at the table, and they yelled to the maidens, "Vodka! Vodka!" So the girls gave them vodka. What else could they do? "Give us bread!" the skeletons bellowed. "Black bread!" So they gave them bread. Reluctantly, the girls sat down to eat with their guests, who proceeded to eat up all the meat and everything else they could lay their bony fingers on. Wow. Imagine a skeleton eating meat and drinking vodka. They must have made one hell of a mess of the carpet. Then the skeletons got up to stretch their bony legs, which the frightened girls took as their cue to run away. But the skeletons raced after them. They caught one girl up, and one of the skeletons broke her across his bony knees. The other girls escaped to the barn and hid up in the loft. The skeletons climbed up and called, come out, wherever you are. Come out, wherever you are." The girls remained silent, and the skeletons were just about to depart. But unfortunately, one of the girls had allergies and sneezed. And so the skeletons found them, and then they strangled them. The moral of the story: skeletons who can eat and drink are nothing to sneeze at. 2. The Fox Physician. Once upon a time, and back in the day, an old couple lived out on the steppes. The old man planted a cabbage head in the cellar of his cottage, while the old woman planted one in the manure pile. The old woman's cabbage withered away, but the old man's grew and grew until it brushed the roof of the cellar. The old man took his hatchet and cut a hole in the cottage floor, but the cabbage kept on growing till it brushed the ceiling. So the old man cut a hole in the ceiling, and the cabbage grew and grew up into the sky. How could the old man get a look at the head of the cabbage? At the head of his cabbage? He began climbing up the cabbage stalk, climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing, and eventually he had to cut a hole in the sky. The old man crawled through the hole and discovered an enormous stove. And as he gazed at the stove in wonder, the door of the stove popped open, and out came a pie and a cake and a jug of vodka. The old man ate and drank his fill, then lay down to sleep. When he awoke, he slid down to earth and cried, "Old woman! Why, old woman, would you like to live up in heaven? There's a stove there, and when it opens, out comes a pie and a cake with a jug of vodka. How can I get there, old man?" "Slip into this sack, old woman. I'll carry you up." Well, the old woman wasn't sure this was a good idea, but eventually she climbed into the sack. The old man then took the sack in his teeth and began climbing, climbing, climbing and climbing and climbing, until the old woman got tired of waiting and asked, "Is it much farther, old man?" "We're only halfway there." Again he climbed and he climbed and he climbed and he climbed and he climbed, and a second time the old woman called, "Is it much farther, old man?" The old man was just beginning to say, "We're only half," when his dentures fell out, and teeth, sack, and old woman fell to the ground a long, long, long way down, fell to the ground, where she was smashed all to pieces. The old man slid down to earth and picked up the sack, but it had nothing in it, nothing but bones, bones broken very small, and so the old man sat down by the remains and wept bitterly. Attracted by the wailing, a fox appeared. "What are you crying about, old man?" "How can I help crying? My old woman is smashed to pieces." "Hold your noise. I'll cure her." The old man fell at the fox's feet. "Cure her, only cure her. I'll pay you whatever you want." "All right, then." "Well, then, fill the bathtub with hot water, then put the old woman in there, along with a bag of oatmeal and a pot of butter, and then stand outside the door. But, whatever you do, don't look inside. Don't look inside." The old man filled the tub with hot water and placed the oatmeal and the butter inside the bathroom. Then the fox entered, shut the door, and began washing the old woman's remains. The old man stood just outside the bathroom door. "How's my old woman getting on?" he cried. "Beginning to stir," replied the fox, who ate up the old woman, collecting her bones and piling them in a corner, before setting to work kneading a hasty pudding. The old man waited and waited and waited. Finally he cried again, "How's my old woman getting on?" "Resting a bit," yelled the fox, as he gobbled up the hasty pudding, his dessert. When he had finished, the fox bawled, old man, open wide the door." Well, the old man opened wide the door, and the fox sprang out and disappeared. The old man, poor old man, the old man went into the bathroom. Nothing could be seen but the old woman's bones, picked clean. As to the oatmeal and the butter, they had been eaten up too. And so the old man was left alone, and, in his despair, he wandered to the ends of the earth, where he wound up in Saskatchewan, where his descendants live to this very day. The moral of the story? When all else fails, there's always Saskatchewan. If this is your first visit to my channel, please consider subscribing. My name is Warren, and I write and tell original ghost stories and original horror stories featuring such cryptids as the Night Floaters, werewolves, and the Black-Eyed Children. So again, please consider subscribing. Please help me to reach my goal of 2,021 subs in 2021. Till midnight, cheers. Source material used today, courtesy of Project Gutenberg, while the pictures were courtesy of Pix Here, that's PX Here, while the music was the ghostly Ghost Processional by that patron of the internet, Kevin MacLeod. You know, I've had to record this in less than 30 minutes, so let me know in the comments how well I did or didn't.